Imagine for a moment that you are walking through a dense, fog-covered forest. The air is thick, damp, and smells of old pine and mystery. For days, you have been cold, exhausted, and plagued by uncertainty. Every step has been a struggle against the mud and the shadows. But suddenly, without warning, the mist begins to part. A warm, golden light spills through the trees, and you find yourself standing before a magnificent temple made of solid gold. The doors are wide open, inviting you in. Inside, you see piles of gold coins, shimmering jewels, and every luxury you have ever dreamed of. Your heart skips a beat. The struggle is over. You think to yourself, all the cold nights and the fear were worth it because you have finally found the source. You reach out your hand to touch the smooth, warm surface of the gold, and in that intoxicating moment, you don't notice the floor beneath you beginning to tilt at a dangerous angle. You don't hear the heavy stone exit behind you slowly sliding shut. You are blind to the trap because your eyes are filled with the shine. This is the second enemy on our 60-day journey. It is far more dangerous than fear because it doesn't look like a threat. It doesn't arrive with the cold shiver of a predator. It arrives with the warm embrace of a friend. It feels like victory. It feels like justice. It is greed. In my previous life as a structural engineer, I was taught that more was almost always synonymous with better. More steel reinforcement meant a stronger, more resilient bridge. More data points meant a more accurate, reliable model. More hours of effort meant a faster, more successful completion of a project. I brought this more is better philosophy into the world of trading, and it nearly destroyed everything I had built. I realized far too late that while fear is a cold, paralyzing weight that stops you from moving, greed is a warm, intoxicating fever that makes you run toward a cliff. It is the seductive voice that whispers in your ear the moment your screen turns green. It is the voice that tells you that you are a genius, that the laws of probability no longer apply to you, and that you deserve to get rich right now, in this very hour. Greed doesn't usually show up when you are losing. It is a predator that waits for your first string of green trades. It waits for the moment when you feel invincible. When I had my first winning streak, I didn't feel like a disciplined trader following a plan. I felt like a god commanding the markets. I started to look at the charts not as a landscape of risk, but as a personal ATM designed just for me. The quiet, humble engineer was gone, replaced by a gambler who wanted to conquer the world in a single afternoon. Listen to the sound of your own ambition right now. Can you hear the subtle, dangerous difference between a healthy goal and a destructive obsession? Greed is the sound of an engine redlining, pushing far beyond its design limits until the metal begins to scream and the oil begins to burn. In this episode, we are going to look into the mirror and see the face of the predator that hides behind our profits. We are going to talk about why the most dangerous moment in your trading career isn't when you are down, it's when you are up. The most insidious way greed attacks is by transforming a calm, rational professional into a creature of sudden, insatiable hunger. You start the day with a clear plan. You have identified your entry. You have calculated your risk. And you have set a firm profit target based on hours of technical analysis. The market opens, and for once, it behaves perfectly. The price moves exactly where you predicted it would. Your profit target is hit. This is the moment where the script says you should close the trade, record the win, and walk away. But this is also the exact moment where greed reaches out from the shadows and grabs your hand. It whispers with a warm, urgent breath. Look how fast the candles are moving. If you close now, you're leaving thousands on the table. Just a few more pips. Just 5 more minutes. Don't be a coward when fortune is smiling on you. In that split second, You move your take-profit level higher. You break the sacred contract you made with yourself before the market opened. You decide to ride the wave just a little longer, convinced that your intuition is now superior to your strategy. But what you don't realize is that you have stopped being a manager of probability and started being a victim of hope. I remember a specific trade during my second year of full-time trading. I had entered a position that went in my favor so quickly it felt like magic. In less than 2 hours, I had made more than a month's worth of my old engineering salary. My plan told me to exit. My logic told me to exit. But I was intoxicated. I sat there, watching the green numbers tick upward, and I began to do the dangerous math. I wasn't looking at the charts anymore. I was looking at a mental catalog of luxury watches and exotic vacations. I felt a physical rush in my chest, a surge of dopamine so powerful it felt better than any drug I had ever known. I felt like I had finally cracked the code of the universe. 10 minutes later, the air in the room suddenly turned cold. The market didn't just slow down, it reversed with a violence I hadn't prepared for. Because I hadn't taken my profit when the plan dictated, I sat there frozen, watching my victory evaporate. I watched it go from a massive win to a modest gain, then to a break even, and finally, into a deep, bloody red loss. I sat in total silence, paralyzed by a new, agonizing kind of pain, the pain of what could have been. I hadn't just lost money, I had lost a dream that greed had sold me only minutes before. Greed tricks you into believing that the market owes you something because you were right. It makes you feel like you are losing money that you never actually possessed. This hunger for just a little more is the gravity that pulls traders into the abyss. As an engineer, I knew that a structure with too much weight would eventually suffer a catastrophic failure, regardless of how strong the individual beams were. In trading, greed is that extra, unnecessary weight that snaps your discipline. You must learn the hardest lesson of all. A trade is only a success if it follows the plan. Anything you gain beyond the plan isn't a profit. It's a bribe that the market uses to keep you in the trap. If the hunger for more is the spark that ignites the fire, then overleveraging is the gasoline poured directly onto the flames. Greed is never satisfied with a steady, slow, and methodical climb. It demands a vertical explosion. It whispers a dangerous logic into your mind. If you are so certain about this trade, why are you betting so little? Why make $100 when, with just a few more clicks, you could make 1,000? Why take months or years to grow your account when you could achieve your 5-year goal in a single week? This is exactly where my engineering background failed me most. As a structural engineer, I understood the mathematical mechanics of leverage, how a small force applied at the right point could move a massive object. But I didn't understand the dark psychology behind it. In trading, leverage is like a turbocharger on a high-performance engine. If used correctly within strict design limits, it gives you necessary power. But if used recklessly, it causes the cylinders to explode through the hood of the car. Greed convinces you that the engine of your strategy is indestructible, making you blind to the structural risk because your eyes are locked onto the potential reward. I started taking positions that were 5 times, 10 times larger than my risk management plan allowed. For a short while, the universe seemed to reward my arrogance. When you are overleveraged and you win, you feel like a king. You feel like you've hacked the system, found a secret back door to wealth that no one else was smart enough to see. But this accidental success is the most dangerous event that can happen to a trader. It reinforces the worst possible behavior. It creates a false sense of security, making you believe you are too gifted to follow the basic laws of risk. But the market has a brutal way of humbling the arrogant. When you are overleveraged, you have absolutely no room for error. A tiny, insignificant movement against you, a single hiccup in price action that wouldn't normally matter, suddenly becomes a catastrophic loss. When you bet too big, you are no longer trading the market, you are trading your own survival. You are walking a tightrope over a canyon with no safety net. And the wind is starting to pick up. Listen to the tension in your body when you take a position that is too large. Can you feel it? Your breath becomes shallow and rapid. Your palms start to sweat. You find yourself unable to look away from the screen. Even for a second, you stop eating, you stop sleeping, and you pull away from the people you love. This isn't trading anymore. This is a hostage situation. Greed has taken your peace of mind as collateral, and it has no intention of giving it back. I realized too late that the speed I was so desperately seeking was actually the fastest way to total failure. To conquer greed, you must learn to respect the law of sustainability. A true builder doesn't care how fast the skyscraper goes up. They care that the foundation never cracks. In the long game, the slow, boring, disciplined climb is the only one that actually reaches the summit. There is a very specific, dangerous kind of silence that often follows a massive win. I call it the silence of the impending storm. It is the moment when the illusion of genius begins to take root in your mind. At this stage, greed doesn't just want your capital anymore, it wants to colonize your intellect. It seeks to convince you that your recent success wasn't merely the result of a disciplined system or a favorable market environment, but rather a direct consequence of your own inherent brilliance and superior instinct. After a string of consecutive winning trades, I noticed a subtle but deadly shift in my psychology. I stopped viewing myself as a student of the market. I stopped performing my morning pre-market routines with the same meticulous care and attention to detail. I stopped journaling my entries and exits. My ego began to ask an arrogant question. Why would a genius need to do such tedious homework? Greed had inflated my self-importance until it filled the entire room. I started to believe that I could feel the heartbeat of the market through the screen. I began taking trades based on gut feeling and intuition, rather than hard evidence and confirmed technical signals. This is the winner's curse. When you are winning, you become sloppy. You become arrogant. You start to believe that the rules you painstakingly crafted for yourself were meant for lesser, average traders, not for someone as uniquely gifted as you. This is when reverse revenge trading begins. If the market doesn't do exactly what you predicted, instead of cutting your losses, you double down. You increase your position size to force the market to submit to your will. Simply because your ego cannot process the possibility that you might be wrong. I saw this exact pattern during my years in the engineering firm. A company would complete a few high-profile projects successfully and then become dangerously overconfident. They would bid on projects far beyond their technical understanding, ignore safety protocols to save time, and that is precisely when the structural disaster would occur. In trading, your safety protocol is your discipline. Greed is the gravitational force that pulls you toward cutting those corners. You must learn to treat a winning trade exactly as you treat a losing trade, with absolute, cold neutrality. A win is not a confirmation that you are a god or a market prophet. It is simply a data point confirming that your system worked in that one specific instance. The very moment you start feeling like a genius is the exact moment you should shut down your computer and walk away. The first enemy, fear, tries to stop you from ever starting, but the second enemy, greed, waits until you are inches from the finish line to trip you. It turns your hard-earned profits into the very fuel that burns down your future. We have looked into the golden temple, and we have seen the tilt in the floor. We have recognized that greed is not the pursuit of success, but the pursuit of more at the expense of safety. So, how do we defeat this seductive enemy? How do we stay grounded when the green numbers are flashing and the world feels like it's ours for the taking? The answer is a single, powerful word: enough. In the world of the long game, the most successful people are those who have mastered the discipline of enough. They know exactly what their target is, and when they hit it, they stop. They don't look back. They don't wonder, what if? They understand that the market's infinite potential is not an invitation to be reckless. It is a test of their boundaries. As I sit here in my room, far away from the noise of the busy engineering firm I once knew, I realize that my greatest profit didn't come from a single massive trade. It came from the day I decided that I didn't need to get rich this afternoon. It came from the day I realized that my survival was more important than my ego. Greed will always be there. It is a natural part of being human. It is the fire that drives us to improve. But fire, if left uncontrolled, will burn the house down. You must be the one who controls the flame. You must use your ambition to build your system, but you must use your discipline to govern it. Tonight, as you reflect on your trades, ask yourself, am I trading for freedom, or am I trading for a rush? If you are trading for a rush, you have already lost. But if you are trading for freedom, then you must be willing to accept the boredom of enough. You must be willing to walk away while the party is still going. I am WalkAlone. Thank you for listening to this third step. We have faced fear, and we have faced greed. Tomorrow, we will talk about the most subtle trap of all, the one that catches us when we think we are being careful. We will talk about impatience. Sleep well, protect your foundation, and stay strong. We will walk again tomorrow.